Welcome to another Soccer Down Here 1v1. Time to catch up with the co-owner of Tulsa Athletic and find out what's going on in T-Town in the NPSL. Co-owner for Tulsa Athletic, Sonny Dalesandro. Sonny, thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Obviously, let's get into the big news of the day. And I want to get into the thought pattern of it and how far back you and the front office and everyone associated with Tulsa Athletic were thinking about this change to having an entirely different song to start matches off in Tulsa.
Yeah, good question. It's a $1 million question right off the bat. Yeah, for a few years we've known about the third stanza. It's always rubbed us the wrong way. The original idea was that we would sing all four stanzas of it and have this kind of like needle scratch in the club moment where everyone was like, what did they just sing? For those that don't know, the third stanza says, "No refuge could save the hireling and slave," which is, referencing at the time there was slavery and there were unfree men in our country and unfree people who were fighting for their freedom, which to me is an inherently American thing. So it's an antiquated part of the song that we do not sing, but it exists. And I don't think I would like to say that no one in this country could say that aligns with their core values, because it certainly doesn't with us, but everyone's entitled to their opinion in this country. But for us it was kind of a no-brainer, like that line in the sand, whether we sing it or not, it's there. Some people might require a more hyperbolic scenario in order for it to cross a line. For us, slavery and racism was that line, and we just said, hey, let's play something different. Let's play something that we feel is more inclusive. Let's play something that for us is by an Oklahoman. And always had the thoughts of the common man at heart, and we went with that.
And for the record, it is now Woody Guthrie's "This Land Is Your Land" instead of "Star Spangled Banner" for all of the home matches. And how much thought went into the idea of having it be this particular tune by an Oklahoman and attach it to the Tulsa home matches? Were there other songs in the thought pattern? Was it, you guys sitting around a table sitting there going, okay, hey, what could we do? And then it comes on Woody Guthrie?
Yeah, and that's a great question. We looked at a lot of them, and I think that there is similarity with who Woody Guthrie was as a person to like what we are present day. Oklahomans are hardworking people. The other part of that was this land was made for you and me. We interpret that as a tip of the cap to our military, to the immigrants that helped build this country. One of the things I've had to deal with this morning, because obviously in Oklahoma, I'm going to get both sides of it put in my face pretty directly, but that we're unpatriotic, or it's been a lot of it. And, I wanted to touch on real quick. Like, one, get to know us a little bit better. We don't generate a massive amount of money being a club in the 4th Division in the United States, but on 3 occasions we've worn camouflage jerseys with our local VFW post on the front very proudly, and we have donated the profits from those gate receipts to our local chapters. So I think people are like, well, this is just, you're attacking America. There's this woke culture where you're trying to just kind of do something to be heard, and it's like, hey, but before you judge us, do what we did with the song. Like, let's dig into this, let's dig into these facts, and then let's make our decision based on information and conversations that we've had. So I think if people think that we're unpatriotic, I think that's probably the most hurtful thing that I've heard today. I've been called a bunch of just names, and so it's fine, but I think being called unpatriotic is probably the most hurtful one. And that's simply because I do recognize the sacrifices that men and women have made in this country to allow people like myself the freedom to scrutinize and to criticize things with the idea that moving forward, we can move forward together as a more united, more inclusive, more accepting society. So in my talks with the local VFW here, they're like, look, we support what you're doing. We can't come out and we may not be able to be side by side, but we're very proud to be able to give you this opportunity to express this message, which we agree with. That no one, like I said, I don't think anyone agrees with racism and slavery being okay. So, yeah, they see it. There's their hat they wear and the lens they look through when they view the songs. Obviously, a little bit different than ours, but I mean, I have a close relationship with the flag here too. You know, I mean, I take jiu-jitsu here, and at the end of every single session, I bow to the flag proudly, and I bow to it with, my quick little 2 seconds of bowing to it. I'm thankful for the freedoms that I have as an American. And when I exercise those freedoms in the spirit of being inclusive and creating a more accepting society, then I'm willing to take the blowback that comes with that. So people that call us, I'm sorry if I'm just lapping myself here, but people that call us communists or unpatriotic, one, I don't think that Woody Guthrie's sales in China have peaked since our announcement. But two, I would say it's quite the opposite. I would say it's time for everyone to be more patriotic, to look around and to find solutions that include all parts of our society in moving, learning, growing, and redefining our country together.
What has the last month been like in the soccer culture in Tulsa?
I mean, I wish I had an exciting answer for you there. I mean, for me, because I sit on the board with the league, it's just been kind of like trying to find when we're going to play. The little ones, our academy teams are just kind of trying to get through tryouts safely. Defining what safe interaction is with the game of soccer, I think, has been mostly what everything has been centered around, as far as announcing new schedules, announcing new platforms, league dates, start dates, how we train, how we interact. It's mostly just been sort of health driven, right?
Mm-hmm. When it comes to, and I know a lot of our audience knows the southeastern footprint of the NPSL and soccer in general. For those who are in your geography, those who are outside of our southeastern footprint, can you break down what soccer means to Tulsa and that particular section of the NPSL? Because you're looking at Tulsa and Joplin and a couple of other places that are in your conference that are right there in the heartland of the country. What does soccer mean to your part of the NPSL footprint?
So I think I'm hearing this question correctly. So we're structured in a weird way in this country where because we don't have a system of promotion relegation and the ball doesn't decide where teams end up, a lot of times what you have are owners who do things for altruistic reasons. They just want to do something better in their community. They would relish the opportunity and the chance to earn promotion, and to do that, we're obviously all open to that. But for a lot of the people that you find at this level, and at other levels too, I don't want to just confine that just to this level, but what you find is people that have this deep, deep need to connect with their community and use their club as a mechanism of creating a tighter-knit culture through the sport of soccer. So, I obviously can't speak for the other clubs, but I know you'll find that to be very true when you go to Little Rock, when you go to Wichita, Kansas, when you go to a Springfield Demise game, and St. Louis as well. It's like we're all utilizing what this tool is to make our communities better. I mean, we're not being thrown this carrot by the federation of like, get your on-field antics together and you're in Division III next year. Like, that doesn't exist for us. So what that does is it's somewhat of, like I said, it's an altruistic endeavor where we're doing this because we love the game. We love a lot, on many occasions, we've loved what it's provided for us as a human being. And we want to utilize it to create a great soccer culture in our towns.
What has the feedback been like? I mean, obviously you've mentioned those who, and I think that we see a lot of it these days where folks who support you, they don't say anything, or they'll sit there and say, "Yep, right on, right there with you." but you have those who are against you that are the most vocal and the louder in their perspectives. Has that been the case since this announcement came out?
Oh, I would probably say a little bit more locally. I think because the soccer community is such a global thing, I think that there's a more understanding that, like, look, there's no place for racism here. I mean, you go to Europe, and it used to be a mandate that you remember those "Say No to Racism" boards that used to be like mandated along the sidelines. Soccer's such a global thing that there's so much understanding in the soccer community. Now the local community, you know, they're not always connected. We're an NPSL club. We don't average 10,000 fans a match. So I think when something like this goes out, people's knee-jerk reaction is to be, well, you're un-American and I want to be critical of this, and I don't have time to learn about it. So, you know, for us, it's just kind of this step of we want to educate a little bit, say, hey, let's take notice of this thing that exists here in the song, and we want to kind of hold our hand up and say, hey, this isn't okay with our club. But yeah, these teams in these communities, they mean a lot. So, you know, how you want to use your voice to speak up, it's up to each individual owner. You know, what we did, I'd like to think, was will be looked back on someday as being very brave. You know, an effort to make the world a better place, and not unpatriotic. But yeah.
Sonny Dalesandro, co-owner, Tulsa Athletic, hanging out with us for a Soccer Down Here 1v1 for another couple of minutes. And I think also one of the perspectives that you're presenting here is not a lot of folks go to that third verse, just in general knowing the song. Everybody is associating, you know, Star Spangled Banner, boom, there's your first verse, you sing it, it's, minute 20, and you're out the door, and you're off and running. But do you remember the first time that it was pointed out about that verse and what your initial reaction was at the time?
Yeah. You know, I found it on my own. I just remember hearing as a young person, like maybe elementary school or something, that like there was more verses. So it was one of those like late night Wikipedia rabbit hole type of things, and I just kind of happened onto it, and I just was reading through line by line. You know, it's important to know our history. I've learned an immense amount about 1812, Battle of Baltimore, and you know, and Scott Key, and you know, I've learned an immense amount, but just kind of going through it I mean, it's our national anthem. Like, you know, like what else is there in here that's in store? Like, why are we only singing this first verse if there's more, other than we can't have a 9-minute long national anthem, obviously.
Right.
So, you know, so I wandered in, I guess, to the basement tapes, and the basement tapes had just some ugliness there. I had to read it a couple of times, you know, because you have to, with stuff like that, it's really important, especially with the messaging around today, that you understand context. And it was just, the United States of America was a very different place. It was a different time then. And, yeah, it was, you know, it's like discovering something dark that you don't want to be there. You know, and then you're kind of have to carry it for a little while too. You know, I've known about it. We've talked about taking action and doing something about it. And we felt now with the way the world is listening and learning and redefining itself, that now is probably the best time to do it. My city just came off of a historic weekend where there were all the elements for things to be dangerous and violent in this town, and I saw men wearing "Make America Great" hats again, fully embracing men in my town with sorry, it's a little emotional. You know, men wearing Black Lives Matter shirts. So as a Tulsan, you know, I couldn't have been prouder. And it was a step towards inclusion. And I think that the main message from this comes from a place of love, and we're wanting to continue having healthy conversations between, you know, different people have differences in politics or religion or whatever background. It's, you know, it was such a powerful week. It was such a powerful weekend here, and I think the messaging here is in sync with how the town that I live in and my community reacted. So For me, it's in line with that. It'll probably try and be twisted so that it's not, and so that it challenges the Constitution. And, my phone number got out a little while ago, and I had a veteran told me that he felt like I was spitting in his face. And, it's like, well, then I think that if you really want to talk about it, then we can sit down and talk about it. But, you got to just kind of shrug that off. But, the messaging comes from a place of love and unity and wanting to move my community forward together.
Sonny Dalesandro, co-owner, Tulsa Athletic, no longer playing the Star Spangled Banner, playing This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie at all home matches. I know it's, as we're talking, it's probably the middle of a very long day that has already been happening for you in Tulsa. And thanks for taking the time to present your point of view and present the stance of Tulsa Athletic and introduce to the rest of the soccer community what soccer means, not just on the pitch there in Tulsa and in the NPSL, but for a lot of folks around in the footprint. Thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1, and we'll be keeping an eye on things. Thanks for, once again, thanks on a very long day for hopping on with a 1v1 and breaking things down for us, Sonny. Really appreciate it.
It was my absolute pleasure. Enjoy the podcast. Keep doing what you guys do. Thank you for taking time to listen, and I appreciate the opportunity.